Hello, people of YouTube. My name is Steve Gray, and thank you for watching. If you're new here, please hit that subscribe button, turn on that notification bell, leave a like, and feel free to comment down below what you would like me to do for future anime and cartoon-related videos. So today we are talking about Jujutsu Kaisen Episode 5, and remember, like, it was 1 or 2 episodes ago when they said a character was going to die, and I was like, oh, that's probably just some foreshadowing thing. We're way down the road, maybe end of the season. No, Itadori's dead. Yeah, Itadori is dead, but they kind of hinted that he wasn't actually dead, which is something that I both kind of like and hate because, you want to see the characters alive because he was the main character up until the point that he died, but at the same time, like, you should kind of cliffhanger that, leave the fans wanting more. You could have just not said anything, put the part about him potentially not being dead in the next episode, as opposed to the current episode, the same episode that he died. That's just kind of my general feelings about it, because then it gives you kind of more of that remorse, like grieving feelings. We've only seen him for 5 episodes, so we're not massively attached to him yet, or I'm personally not anyway. So his death didn't come across as super hard, because you knew he was going to have to die eventually. Now he has 3 Sukuna fingers inside of him at this point in time. He wasn't able to instantly switch back. I think it was because he was mentally unstable at the time. Sukuna ended up fighting Fujiguro, and basically it was like there was no contest. Basically, they were fighting. Fujiguro was putting in his maximum effort, and that was basically it. We learned a little bit of backstory about him. Basically, there was some woman, or possibly his mother, that he deeply cared about, was a genuinely nice person, and then got cursed and died. So that is the main reason he kind of saved Itadori to begin with, was for his own selfish reasons. Basically, he thought that Itadori was a decent person, trying to run in and save his friends, so that is literally the only reason that he saved him, and he did. He said it was selfish, and it was to a certain extent. Saki, she didn't really play a big role in this. She was like, oh, you're acting all tough and strong. Oh, I'm not going to shed tears over a guy that I've only known for 2 weeks. But she was crying a little bit. And then Fujiguro was basically like, all right, let's kind of change the conversation to it's hot. We got to see some new characters. I'm not sure where they are, what year they are. There's Panda we saw. There is Maki, and then there is Yuta, I believe. I'm going to say Yuta. Let's double check here. No, not Yuta. Let's get his name here. I think, is it Toji? Possibly Toji. We're going to go with Toji for right now. I'm looking at the character sheet in front of me. So yeah. But basically, there's 3 students, another 3-man team, where you got a Panda, which is a dude, another dude, and then Maki, which is a girl, and she was mad that Fujiguro was like, oh, I am, basically, what if somebody die? Not knowing that somebody actually died, so we got introduced to her as this cynical, cold-hearted bitch, because she had no idea that Itadori just died. Meanwhile, while this is kind of going on, Gojo is like, I can just kill the higher-ups. Apparently he is the strongest. So he was definitely I can just kill the higher-ups, because basically he is under the impression that the higher-ups purposely made these 3 first years go after a special class demon, so that Itadori would most likely die in the process, or somebody, and he was good to go. And yes, it would suck if one of the other 2 passed away, but at the same time, they're getting rid of Itadori, which is their main problem right now, because the only reason that Itadori was alive to begin with was because Gojo interfered in the first place, which kind of makes sense, because Gojo was like, oh, let's see how many fingers he can eat. He can switch back and forth, and eventually he'll just be able to get rid of Sukuna. The interesting thing, though, is at this point, Sukuna has 3 fingers, or Itadori, whatever you want to call. We'll say Itadori has eaten 3 fingers at this point in time, each finger getting him progressively stronger and stronger by the sound of it. And obviously there is 17 more to go. So we got a long way to go. Long way to go. Keep in mind that the school, I believe, still has 5. So that's 8 accounted for right there. So technically, 8 down, 12 to go in retrospect. But we also kind of saw like these demons talking about each other. We don't really know the names or curses, I should say, and they look like high-level curses. One of them looks like he has a volcano head. There's the one human that has a scar across his face, and basically he is working with curses for whatever reason. We don't know the method. Seems like a decent dude at the moment, but who knows? All the curses that are around him actually aren't killing anybody, so that is definitely a positive. But they definitely were not happy that they had to sacrifice one of Sukuna's fingers, because I guess that's like the most powerful artifact or whatever. I could definitely assume that because they say Sukuna is the most powerful curse there ever was. So I could definitely see that being an issue in the foreseeable future. But they're planning on like reversing the roles of curses and humans. They're like, oh, curses are pure emotions, whereas humans, 1 second they're expressing happiness, the next minute they're sad and hungry and whatever else. Whatever other emotions you want to throw in there. And I kind of understand the point, curses point, because curses were created by humans, and then humans just kill them. It's like what's the point? There's a little bit of like confusion there, especially with the more kind of sentient curses that actually have the ability to speak and think and basically act like a human being for the most part. As long as they're not killing anybody, I don't really see a point in having to kill them, but I'm sure that there is going to be some sort of issue down the road. As I said, we ended it with basically there was this woman talking to Gojo. A lot of new characters in this episode. We'll try to brush up more on them possibly next review, because we didn't get a lot of information out of really any of them. Didn't really get a lot of backstory, but it was just like, oh, here's a flood of characters. This episode was like 1, 2, 3. Let's see, the 3 students, the teacher. There's like 4 or 5 different. We got like 10 characters basically this episode, and between the curses, the random dude with a scar on his forehead, the girl that is in charge of doing like an autopsy. I'm guessing she's going to do an autopsy on Itadori to make sure that all of the fingers have disappeared. But the preview that we get was basically Sukuna is not like dead. Sukuna is still kind of in control at the moment, and he was like, I do not like other people inside of my body. Similar to, obviously, Itadori not liking Sukuna inside of his body. But what are you going to do with that in retrospect? So, basically, we're probably going to see maybe Sukuna take over, maybe kill, what do they call him? The dissectee lady. Doctor lady. I could definitely see that happen. But Gojo is right there in the same room, so I highly doubt if Sukuna acts up that Gojo won't be able to put him in his place like that, because we've seen how friggin' crazy it is. But we know that what the curses want, they want Sukuna on their side, and they want Gojo on their side, or they need to get Gojo out of the way, either or. And then that will definitely help them take over the world as we know it. So that is the plan. So next episode, we're going to see probably a tournament. There's Tokyo and Koyo, if I'm saying that correctly. Basically, it's kind of like 2 schools going against each other, seeing which is the better school, some sort of exchange program. So it's going to be Jujutsu sorcerers fighting against other Jujutsu sorcerers, and I'm sure we will figure out, what is going on with this other school. We'll probably see those characters later on, because obviously they have the same main goal, which is getting rid of all these curses. But they're at the same time, like any other high school, you got to have that competitiveness in there. You got to have them kind of fighting to be the best school, the best football team, baseball team, whatever sports team you want to go for. Basketball, soccer, tennis, track, sure, why not? But the best team. And so that's probably going to be the next few episodes. Itadori may or may not be back next episode. I personally think he will be. But we will just kind of have to wait and see how that whole situation plays out. We know for a fact he's not dead. I am assuring you right now, he is not dead. Either that or Sukuna is not dead. Maybe Sukuna now has fully taken over, because there's 3 fingers right now that we know of anyway. 3 fingers inside of Itadori. And that, while yes, there's 17 others, does Sukuna really want to give up his vessel? Because there's not a whole lot of people that are actually able to be his vessel. And he even said it in like the first episode, that this is the best vessel that he's pretty much ever had at this point in time. Body fist like a glove. So we'll just have to wait and see what happens with that. Basically, he just said Sukuna even said Itadori was basically just a slightly stronger human, nothing really special about him. But I'm sure we will learn in the future that there is something special about him. My name is Steve Gray. Thank you for watching, and as always, have a good one.